back in Liverpool, Liverpool town where I was born, where there is no trees, no sentries,
Looking at the waterfront, there was a mist, and underneath there was these white clouds. As I looked up, I was able to trace the letters W-E-L-C. Welcome to Merseyside.
Liverpool always had a character, you see. The sailing ship men of Liverpool, I think you might as well say in one breath, were Irish. Paddy Delaney, Paddy Griffiths, and a whole pile of them. All my mentors and tutors. Now, they were a tough lot. They liked the seafaring life. They were tough nuts ashore, fine men at sea.
Oh, gather round your sailor boys and listen to me when you've had me tale to tea. For there was a ruddy fool in the port of Liverpool the first time that I come over to see. Oh,
As they walked along, they turned their hands outwards like that, you see. And this was then muscled. And it was this sort of walk. This was the typical walk of a Liverpool Irish Scotland Road, Apple Street fireman.
As Lord Mayor, on the occasion of the first Lord Mayor's parade in Liverpool, it was certainly a very proud day for me. And I was thinking of the theme, one city, many faces, as I drove through the crowded streets to the town hall.
Well, now, the first thing I would say about Liverpool, the thing that is most vivid in my recollection, is the warm-heartedness. I can remember on one occasion going to Kirby outside Liverpool, and two old ladies were there, and they clapped, and one said, "Isn't he lovely?" And the other one said, "Yes, and the horses are lovely too," because there were two police horses just by the side. So everything's lovely to the genuine, warm-hearted Liverpudlian.
Well, it's a fabulous place. I've got friends in London who come to Liverpool for holiday.
You make the biggest, lumpiest porridge in England.
Liverpool is the most strongly individual city that I've ever been in my life. And they was very, very proud. Obviously, everybody in Liverpool is incredibly proud of being from Liverpool.
What sort of ciggies did your father smoke? And what party got your old man's vote? He'd find a woody hanging from his lips, and Bessie Braddock on his voting slips.
I tried to follow a pattern that Bessie set for me as a kid.
I don't think she ever lost a touch, really, with the ordinary people, did she?
The meeting when a boss gets tough, when a car goes dirty, when a bloke gets rough. When Bessie's there, we'll come in force, 'cause we all like to argue, and of course...
She did, I think, embody and personify Liverpool in a very battling sense. She never compromised, and grew up with a fighting hatred and intolerance for everything she saw in the Liverpool of the period of the First War and the 20 years or more after it.
In my Liverpool home, we speak with an accent exceedingly rare.
It came by way of either Norway, which is Labscouse, or Germany, you know. This was, of course, a proper Teutonic feed.
Scouse is a dish, it's a stew. The kind of stew that's easy for a poor woman to make. But because everywhere we went, we asked for scouse, people called us scousers. And because you've got a peculiar way of speaking, with that accent, it's called scouse.
Oh no, it's more than an accent, it's a dialect, because it has its own vocabulary, whereas an accent is just a different way of speaking, a local way of speaking the Queen's English. Scouse has its own words.
I was legging after a jigger rabbit up the Enog when I was wellied with batties of our chockers.
The Learn ITA, which is it's a method of reading and writing. The characters are sounds. In the books, A is written in a certain way, and it's supposed to say R. A round A says R. I mean, I can't very well write L, round A, ST, because that's last, so I have to change it and put a different A, so that it says last.
There are 5 vowels in Scouse. E, R, E, N, U.
like me dad, because he won't even give us nothing for going. Because if he tells us to run down to Tower Hill, when we come back, he won't even give us a halfpenny. So that's why we won't go to the van or go nowhere for him. He has to go himself, but he won't.
The only way to learn them is to practice over and over the typical Liverpool proverbs. Sera, Teresa, see you Tuesday.
I am pleased to make your acquaintance.
Hello there, Whack.
Could you oblige me with a match, please?
Guess I like there, la.
Thank you. I am most grateful.
Ta.
The restaurant.
The Cokes.
Bon appetit.
Look in there, la, you're at your granny's.
Waiter, there is no meat in my stew.
Hey, you this scouse is blind.
Thank you. I enjoyed that meal. At the dance.
At the up.
May I have the pleasure of a dance, madam?
Are you getting up there, Scrag?
That young lady has come hither, look.
I think I'm on for a tail home, you know.
I say do desist, Mercer is approaching. Hey, on your bike, me ma's coming.
You are weak.
You couldn't kick an hole in a wet echo.
I will chastise you severely.
I'll put a fluke's gob on you.
I think also one has to do something about their speech to correct it. But I don't think we should take away from them their innate way of expressing themselves. And they would be losing something of their own culture.
Children have two languages, the home language and the school language.
At the end of the first term, I had these little fellas all reciting Father's car is a Jaguar and Pa drives rather fast. And all this, and I thought I was doing great stuff. And this came to the end of the term, this Friday night, they were all Jaguaring. And off they went home, and I was very pleased with myself. Monday morning, they came in. A little lad in the front row was sitting there with a big black eye. I said, "What's the matter with you, lad?" And he said, "Me mam battered me for talking like a fruit."
If you're trying to do something to improve the speech, you might be just making them into middle-class stereotypes.
One of the main things we have to do to enrich their language.
I know where my mum lives and my dad and all of my big sisters down in Shield Road. Because then we moved down to Kirby, then my mum had me in the hospital.
We have been moving and planned to move anything up to 200,000 people out of the city.
As regards the new building in the centre, I think it was left far too long. There's hardly a city in the country that was so slow getting on with the job of urban renewal as Liverpool. When it started in a big way.
I'll tell you a secret, but don't tell a soul. They're pulling down Scotty Road and building a hole.
When we say we want to get rid of the slums, we must know what some of the consequences would be.
They missed the pub on the corner. A lot of my constituents who moved out to Huyton or Kirby or Cantrill Farm miss the 4 pubs on each corner in Scotland Road. It reminds you of the story of the old rustic gentleman when they pulled down his favourite pub and they put a new modern pub, and they said, "What do you think about it, George?" And he says, "Well, I miss the old spittoon." And they said, "Well, you always did, George."
Modern thinking is that planning should not be thought of only in physical terms, but in social terms.
We have had tremendous housing problems which require simple solutions, and the planners have had to look far ahead.
Our fellow from the council, just out of planning school, has told us that we've got to go right out of Liverpool. They're sending us to Kirby, to Scammerdale and Speak, but we want to stay where we used to play in Back Buchanan Street. Don't want to go to Kirby, don't want to go to Speak, don't want to go from all I know in Back Buchanan Street. Oh, Mr. Foghorn.
Mother, they're building a town centre in the bedroom. A car park in the lounge, it's a sin. There's a supermarket going up in the toilet. What a shocking estate we are in.
A friend of my mother's, you know, the houses were down and she was the only one in her street. And that's even worse still, I think, to wait till the last possible moment.
The real task my colleagues face is to keep this process human. When people look at the land we've left in the city vacant because of what we've done, they forget in 5 minutes that 7 years ago, the great social challenge of this city, the unanimous opinion of the populace, the greatest social evil was housing.
There's 6 in a bed by the old pier head, and it's Liverpool town for me.
The planners used the worker as a sort of propaganda platform for the new city, you know, with the little models all nicely picked out in white card. I've often thought what a pity that the planners haven't got some kind of thing that they could shrink people down to midget level, and then we could all fit the bloody little models that they've got.
There's a lift and 10 lots of stairs that you'd have to walk up, and a great big lift that goes right up to the top. But you can't press the button to go up. Your brother has to come down, take him up in the lift, or he has to walk right up the 10 lots of stairs.
Arjuch med David
Georgie, who was my eldest brother, was pining for me, Dad. So bombs and all, they came back. Otherwise, I would have been Welsh. Imagine my grandfather's Welsh.
This is not only a multiracial city, it is overwhelmingly a Celtic city. And it is given to euphoria and it is given to depression. And when we have the Beatles, there is the euphoria. Liverpool or Everton lose a football match, you're in depression.
Over that Gaston bridge they roll, and leaving behind the copy hole. Into debt, body and soul, so the furniture will pass. But the conductor on the 86 will say, right? Yeah, yeah. You can't live down there on your doctor's bed. And if you ain't got the do-re-mi, boy. If you ain't got the do-re-mi, what you do then? You better go back to beautiful Gaston. Bootle away Wavertree. Mosley Hill may be the garden of Eden. On the lamppost the dogs will never pee. But believe it or not, in that neighborhood you're a clot if you ain't got the do-re-mi.
The city that I married has gone. No, she's gone off somewhere else, she's dead.
And the middens, the old midden pickers, you know, these things have all gone.
If you go outside the town hall and have a look at the building outside the town hall, you'll see the sudden change in thinking.
Liverpool, you're in bad physical shape that even a facelift and a bit of concrete surgery can't hide. Thrombosis at the tunnel, ulcers at Ford's, and arthritis at the docks. You've had too much excitement these past few years. Look after yourself, take warning. You smoke too much, stay up too late, look rough first thing in the morning.
I think particularly of Kirby here, but it's no less true of the others I've mentioned, where they've built up a real civic responsibility. Well, these kids have got a far better chance than their parents ever had.
The industries were port-based, and it was a vulnerable economy.
The big problem we've had has been to create a genuine industrial character for Merseyside. Remember, the dockers had to fight for a half day at a time under the old casual system and weren't used to regular working.
Hey, Grandad had to work and sweat all the hours that he could get. But now machines have come to stay, there's more time off and there to pay.
It's all been decasualised now. No more of this working for the Queen, 2 on the hook and 3 on the book and all that caper. It's all making money now, you know. Do you reckon now, like, the job's stitched, you just can't get in on it? This jocker who got his house broke into and the colour TV set pinched. Do you suspect the butler?
No, they're hysterical, their names. People give each other nicknames. You know, the foreman who's called Thrombosis, because he's a bloody clot, always causing obstruction. No.
He called him the sick lobster. Every time he come in, the nippers weren't too good, you know.
And the sick pigeon. It's always upstairs in the loft.
He used to have a fella there and he had a battle dress. With no buttons on, no decorations or nothing, you know, and he'd never talk about the army. They used to call him the unknown soldier.
Actually, they tell me the docker called Dulux. He's always nicking pieces of meat. And you reckon one coat covers the lot.
They used to have a fella there, the strawberry jelly, I think. Another night here and was set.
And the blocky man who's known as the reluctant plumber, because he never does a bloody tap.
The angry cat. He stood at the top of the act and said, "There's meow man down there."
Yeah, fellas being called Burn the Donkey and things like that, and nobody ever explains what they mean. Like, it's just every now and again. Liverpool, you know, a tremendous talent. You see the ships built at Camel Heads, fellas clock on, clock off, throwing trip hammers around, you know, shaping tons of white-hot steel easily and as a team.
Oh, the praties, they are small over here. Oh, the praties, they are...
The Mersey Tunnel is that architectural engineering masterpiece which came about because at the time of the Troubles, the famines, a large number of Irishmen came over to this country, landed at Liverpool, took one look at the place and tried to dig their way back home.
We dug the Mersey Tunnel, boys, way back in 33. Dug an hole in the ground until we found an hole called Wallasey. Then the foreman cried, "Come on outside, the roof has fallen down." Well, I'm telling you, Jack, we all swam back to dear old Liverpool town.
Liverpool has always had a great number of leaders who thought of the future, and I think a classic example is Alderman Salvage and his colleagues at the time when they were talking about the Mersey Tunnel.
On July the 18th, 1934, when His Majesty King George V honoured the city by his presence.
It is a deep pleasure to us to come here today to open for the use of men a thoroughfare so great and strange as this Mersey Tunnel, now made ready by your labour.
An indication of the forward-looking policies of the city is shown by the recent opening of the second tunnel by Her Majesty the Queen on the 24th of June 1971.
My grandfather named the first Mersey Tunnel Queensway in honour of Queen Mary. So, in honour of my father, it is with the greatest pleasure that I declare the second Mersey Tunnel open and name it Kingsway.
And I do remain basically optimistic. I think it's a mistake to pretend that a city hasn't got problems. Every great city has problems, and we have perhaps a share of national problems and our own particular problems. But I remain abundantly optimistic. We are a city which is rebuilding itself.
Yes, I don't know why people get so pessimistic. It seems to me that anything which is going to produce anything is going to produce an awful lot of chaos in the process.
I'm optimistic about what Merseyside could be. The size of the problems are enormous, but then the bigger the problem, the bigger the challenge and the bigger the excitement in solving it. I'm very optimistic about what Merseyside could become.
Bless this scouse who is so proud to be among the northern crowd. Two cathedrals our own lingo.
Christ was a provincial himself, and he almost certainly spoke the equivalent to Scouse. And he went around with working men, ordinary people, and that's where he sought his disciples from. That's where he tried to create his church from.
Lord, please listen to our plea. Change water into water.
The lads in charge of the celebration knew a thing or two about plonk. Here, he said to the bridegroom, people usually save their best wine first. You save the best till the last. That was Jesus' first miracle.
Well, my own view of the work of the church is one closely sort of tied up with the community. I mean, I see the church as the catalyst by which what technically is called the kingdom may be established. Therefore, I always sort of resist any attempt to isolate the church in little catacombs of its own.
I've never ever known any problems in Liverpool racially, really. You know, I think because we all had such tough times originally, it was tough enough to make bread there that we didn't have time to start figuring out why that one was different colour to him or why that one went to a different church than him.
You can take certain parts of Liverpool, which on the 17th of March would be nothing but parties and do's. You can take another part of Liverpool on the 12th of July, which will be exactly the same.
There is no restriction on anyone applying for a job. And if he measures up to our requirements, it doesn't matter whether he's a Liverpool or Everton supporter or a Roman Catholic, a Protestant or an agnostic.
Oh, it is the biggest mix-up that you have ever seen. My father, he was orange, and my mother, she was green.
There's a humour about life on Merseyside which gets over the bigotry which unfortunately you do see in other parts of the world.
You still see outside one of the Reformed churches a big placard saying, what should we do if the Pope comes to Liverpool? But underneath is written, play Roger Hunt at inside left.
Liverpool used to have a very bad reputation. The orange and the green, they were fighting and so on. Now, when I was there, there was only one incident of it. Once, when I was doing a visitation, there was a great trouble. I was stoned in the orange area, but only because they became alarmed and thought that this was an invasion by the Catholics. When all was explained, far from it doing any harm, it brought us even closer together. And so my recollections of Liverpool are of a growing and really close unity between people of all denominations. I've found both the individuals and the civic people always very, very anxious to promote Christian unity.
There's every race and colour of face and every kind of name, but the pigeons on the pier deck, they'll treat us all the same.
And if you walk up Upper Parliament Street, you'll see faces black and brown. And I've also seen the orange and green in dear old Liverpool town.
Although antipathy between Roman and Protestant was so acute here, we are now much further advanced in relationships with each other than most of the rest of the country. We take for granted up here that we never initiate any large project without collaborating with the Romans.
You will always get in every city a small amount of religious feeling, obviously because religion is an intensely personal thing and generates strong emotions. But in this city, there have been many historic strides taken in the cause of Christian unity.
One is old and one is new. A street called Hope between the two.
Or building the Cilla Cathedral. You know the big arch at the back? See the intricate carving? 2 guys carved that out. They make Henry Moore. He's in kindergarten compared to them. Their names will never go down. The stuff they've done is not signed.
I'm very biased about the Liverpool Cathedral because, after all, I was responsible for rejecting the old design because it was too expensive, and throwing the thing out to open competition. And I thought it was very suitable that whereas the architect of the Anglican Cathedral was a Catholic, so the architect of the Metropolitan Cathedral turned out to be a non-Catholic.
One is old and one is new, a street called Hope between the two.
O Lord, on thy new Liverpool address, let no bombs fall. Gather not relics in the attic, nor dust in the hall, but daily may 1,000 friends who want to chat just call.
Having left Liverpool for London, my heart has remained largely in Liverpool, and so I beg God's blessing upon all of you, my friends, whether you were Catholics or Protestants, Christians or Jews. You were all my real friends, and you remain my friends. God bless you.